In many ways, this project is trying to rewrite the textbooks of obstetrics.
So we set out to describe how babies grow in healthy mothers.
Groundbreaking evidence to prove that what was thought before is not true.
One of the misconceptions is that babies are different depending on race, ethnicity, and where they are born.
Whether we are big or small, or white or black, babies are universally all the same.
Results are fantastic, good academic impact.
Our ambition is to ensure that the standards we have produced are adopted by every country in the world.
A pregnancy without complications and a healthy newborn baby. That is the wish of every mother. And it's the familiar measurements from the ultrasound scan used together with growth charts that help keep a close eye on the baby's development. Here at the John Radcliffe Hospital, part of Oxford University, they have been taking a much closer look at how babies actually grow in the womb. They're at the centre of a global research project, INTERGROWTH-21st. And the findings of this project are challenging our long-held beliefs on how babies grow.
Our hypothesis was that healthy mothers would have healthy babies that would achieve their full growth potential, irrespective of where they're living in the world and irrespective of the colour of their skin or their ethnicity.
Stephen Kennedy is Professor of Reproductive Medicine at the John Radcliffe Hospital and is the co-principal investigator for the project with Jose Vila, Professor of Perinatal Medicine.
Fetal growth, or the growth in the womb, is a crucial period because that's a period of developing the basics that will mark the rest of your life.
It is these long-term health problems experienced by babies who are born underweight or preterm that is at the heart of the INTERGROWTH-21st project. If poor growth in the womb could be identified and improved, then the life chances of children around the world would be transformed. Spotting poor growth in the womb would seem to be fairly easy. Ultrasound is used in most hospitals around the world.
I think this is really one of the most fundamental parts of assessing a pregnancy. And one of the main reasons that we do ultrasound is really establishing whether a fetus is of normal size or is of, or not of normal size.
But for the INTERGROWTH-21st project, it immediately became clear that there was a problem. Because around the world, people did not agree on what exactly was normal growth.
Before we started the INTERGROWTH-21st project, it was very important to ascertain what charts are actually being used around the world to monitor the growth of the fetus, the growing baby, and the newborn. And we were astonished to find just how many charts are being used around the world, most of which were developed in a suboptimal way.
Well, one of the effects this has is that, this use of different charts in different places is that you could do an ultrasound scan on a woman and tell her that the baby's quite small, refer her to a different hospital for a second opinion, have exactly the same measurements, but be told that actually this is normal. And this is one of the effects of having different references to judge the size of the baby on side to side.
But if the project's hypothesis could be proved correct, and all babies, irrespective of geography or race, had the potential to grow at the same rate, then the implications were enormous. All babies could be measured against a standardized chart. All babies could, for the first time, be helped to reach their full potential.
So we set out to describe how babies grow in healthy mothers. And if the growth of babies born to healthy mothers would be similar around the world, then we would be able to construct international standards describing how all babies around the world should grow, provided that the mothers are healthy.
The INTERGROWTH-21st project, coordinated by Oxford University, was setting itself a big challenge. To collect the data it needed, it had to recruit over 6,000 mothers and their babies in 8 regions of the world. These were Pelotas, Brazil; Beijing, China; Nagpur, India; Turin, Italy; Nairobi, Kenya; Muscat, Oman; Oxford, UK; Seattle, USA. To ensure that the data they collected was accurate and consistent across the project, it was important that they adopted a standardized approach to measuring babies. Dr. Leila Sheikh Ismail is project leader and an expert in anthropometry, which is the study of growth and measurement of newborn babies.
We have developed a very robust, rigorous protocol to be followed around the world for different components of the project, which is ultrasound, anthropometry, data management. So my role was to make sure that all these components are running properly and all the sites are following the protocol, not deviating, and also at the same time to train and standardize for the anthropometry.
This need for consistency across the project meant regular training visits to the 8 research sites in the other countries. Today, Leila is travelling with Professor Aris Papagiorgio. They've arrived in Kenya and are on their way to the Aga Khan Hospital in Nairobi.
Over the last few years, Aga Khan has really become an excellent centre for us, and we use it as a central post for training quite a lot for other countries as well, because it's very convenient and also a very nice place.
Hi, Aris.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good.
Meeting them is Dr. Maria Carvalho, the principal investigator for the project in Nairobi.
Okay, so this is our new premises. That's the Heart and Cancer Center, and the Intergrowth offices are on the other side of the building. At the start of the study, the lead ultrasonographer went to Oxford, the lead anthropometrist who went to Oxford to be trained. So of every faculty, there was someone who went to Oxford to be trained. Then they returned back to their sites, came back here to Nairobi to train all the research team that was part of the study.
So it's very important to make sure that the gestational age is...
Now it is a matter of Aris providing advice and support to the local teams. Measuring babies is never straightforward.
So you can have the probe more vertical when you take the amniotic fluid. You want to have another look at the AC? Because I wondered whether that first measurement was...
Being born early or preterm is one of the more serious consequences of poor growth in the womb, and the mortality rate for preterm babies is high. For this baby, problems in the womb meant that the decision had to be taken to deliver him early, before he reached full term. He is in the care of paediatrician Dr. Rosalind Okieng.
The baby was born at 30 weeks gestation, and the reason for the delivery at that stage was because the mother had severe preeclampsia. There was also documented growth restriction, and so she had to go in for emergency cesarean section. When you have growth challenges, then obviously in many babies, again, development can be a challenge, so that these babies, if they are not looked after adequately, they may end up developing less well than other babies. A lot of studies have shown that a lot of these babies later on develop other complications, especially metabolic diseases in adulthood.
So we're doing growth and development in the womb, outside the womb. We're dealing with prematurity, the causes of prematurity and the different types of prematurity and how that impacts. And then looking specifically at growth patterns of preterm born babies compared to babies that are born at full term, but also compared to those babies at the same gestation that remain in utero.
In Oxford, the results from the INTERGROWTH-21st project started to come in, and they were remarkable. The data showed quite clearly that growth charts could be standardized for use around the world. But in doing so, the project had also revealed an astonishing new truth.
Kenyan data, Oman, Brazil. So these are all the data together. I mean, this is... So the message is very clear. If you look at healthy women around the world, their babies grow in a very similar way inside the womb and achieve a similar size at birth, irrespective of where they're living, irrespective of their ethnicity, irrespective of their race.
Babies were treated differently in different parts of the world. Babies that were considered overweight or obese in different continents were considered normal weight in another continent, and so were not treated the same way. So now we know babies are universally all the same.
I think all of us assumed that especially Asian babies were always born small. They were accepted to grow at a much slower pace. And that means that if I look at an Asian baby, then they should be able to grow at the same pace as a Caucasian or a black or a Hispanic baby.
Groundbreaking evidence to prove that what was thought before is not true. And whether we are big or small, or white or black, we're all the same. So we should be treated the same.
But whilst the scientific evidence for adopting standardised charts is clear, there is still a final hurdle for the team to overcome, and that is the resistance to change by health departments around the world. Getting medical professionals to adopt the new charts is not going to be easy.
I think what we need to do, Jose, is to reach out to our existing network of collaborators. And we say to them, will you help us to disseminate this information? By speaking to NGOs, policymakers, governments. And they're the ones that are going to be most motivated.
They are. No, the results are fantastic. And we will have a good academic impact. But dissemination to reach women and newborns and the children and families.
The results of the INTERGROWTH-21st project are stunning. We've demonstrated for the first time that the way in which babies grow inside the womb and the size that they achieve at birth are similar across the world, provided that mothers are healthy, well-educated, well-nourished, free of disease, and receiving good health care.